Pastor's Pondering. Then Jesus told them a parable about their need to pray always and never lose heart, from Luke 18:1. This Sunday's gospel reading is the story of a widow who persistently goes back to an unjust judge and asks for justice. The story makes it clear the judge has zero interest in her situation or justice itself. Still, he becomes annoyed at her persistence, and so finally relents and grants her that for which she is asking. We have no information about the case itself, so the story is not intended to teach about the details. Instead, Jesus tells this parable to teach and to encourage and to paint a picture of what faithfulness to God's vision for the world looks like, amidst all kinds of evidence to the contrary. Professor Eric Barreto, Associate Professor of New Testament at Princeton Theological, says it well. He writes, "Her persistence in a broken system is a model for us to follow, knowing as we do that God's economy of grace is not ruled by the whims of a judge. Her persistence is an emblem of faithfulness. Her boldness is rewarded. Her courage draws upon the seemingly meager, quote, weapons of the weak, unquote, in a system that would sideline her and deny her justice. It is a path to follow as we await our deliverance." Perhaps this is precisely the kind of faith Jesus wonders if he will find on his return, as he muses in verse 8. A faith that demands justice in a world coursing with injustice. A faith that persists in seeking life even in systems seemingly ruled by the forces of death. A faith that looks to God's promises and lives as if they will be fulfilled today. When we gather on Sundays, lift up the name and vision of God for all creation, we do so as an act of faithfulness. When we find joy in our days, despite the dehumanizing acts around us, we do so in faithfulness to God and as a choice to cling to what is good and right and beautiful in God's world. When we gather with others, as we will do on Saturday, and our peaceful rally cry is for proper accountability toward a more humane society, we do so as an act of faithful resistance and persistence. We claim those weapons of the weak, our cardboard signs, our presence, and our voices, knowing that they can bring a shift in the brutality that has become the status quo. When we demand better of our elected and appointed officials, we do so not as a statement of political posturing, but as a persistent call for justice for all in the name of Jesus. Thanks be to God for the biblical witness of this nameless, faceless widow, whom Jesus introduces us to for our encouragement and as a role model for building the realm of God. I wonder if anyone hearing Jesus teach this parable would have thought to say to Jesus, "Hey Jesus, don't you think it's better not to say anything that sounds anti-judge or pro-widow? Isn't this story a bit too political? After all, annoying the judge could have had consequences. Or maybe continuing to deny justice to this widow might have had consequences. I mean, really, both make waves, Jesus. Why don't you just stick to the spiritual stuff? Wouldn't it be better to just ignore the corruption and keep the poor quiet?" There are those around us who would echo such an interpretation today of the events unfolding around us. But let us be clear. It's Jesus who tells this parable to teach what kingdom living is like, what it looks like, what it feels like when you experience it. Corruption wasn't new nor a surprise to Jesus. Helping people find and experience God's path, God's vision of justice and wholeness between people, is what Jesus is trying to do in this story. It's never about the politics. It never was. See you tomorrow or Sunday. God's peace and blessings to you all, beloveds. Pastor Janet.